Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Tech Talks with Manju. In our previous sessions, we have configured the application load balancer on AWS and GCP, in which the naming and the configurations were pretty similar on that. But when we are looking at the Azure Load Balancer, it's pretty different, and choosing a specific load balancer have a specific reason for it. We'll look at all those conditions and the scenarios, why to use it, how to use those things on the Azure. And when we are looking at the specific load balancer categories on the Azure, we have Application Gateway, Front Door, and CDN profiles, Load Balancer, and Traffic Manager. We'll look at each of them and why we have to use it and how we have to use that. Okay, specifically today we'll be covering the concepts, basics, and in the next session we'll be creating each one of them. Okay, so let's look at the conditions here. So as per the flow diagram, whenever we see it is an internet based or a non-internet based, whether it is HTTP or HTTPS, it is whether it is a non-HTTPS or HTTPS, all those things it is available here. So I made this even more simpler with the particular Excel sheet. We'll look at all those scenarios in a simpler manner. Okay, for example, your traffic is UDP or a TCP, which is not basically HTTP or HTTPS. Okay, and it is being internally used, and it is used on the single region like only East US. Then you can use the load balancer to balance your load for your backend. Okay, when your traffic is HTTP or HTTPS and it is used for only the internal purpose, which is not exposed to the internet, okay, and it is being used on the single region, then you can use the application gateway. And when your traffic is HTTPS and it is exposed to the internet and traffic is coming from the internet and it is being utilized over the multiple regions, for example, the users are from East US also and from Central India, at that moment you can use the traffic manager and a load balancer to balance your load. Okay, the disadvantage of a load balancer, it is a region specific. Okay, so it cannot serve the traffic from multiple regions. That's why we are adding the traffic manager. Traffic manager can take the traffic from multiple regions and it can flow back and it can get the traffic and revert it back to your backend pools for the multiple regions. Okay, that's the advantage between the traffic manager and the load balancer. Like traffic manager can get traffic from multiple regions. Next thing is your traffic is a HTTPS and it is exposed to the internet and it is a single region. Okay, at that moment you can use the application gateway only. Okay, so this is a major difference between a multi-region and a single region. Okay, and next thing is if your traffic is HTTPS and it is exposed to the internet and it is on a single region, but it requires the performance acceleration. What do you mean by performance acceleration? So basically when there is a dynamic traffic, when we are creating a particular application gateway, we'll explain what is version 2, what are like auto scaling purposes and the other things. Okay, and whenever you're trying to use this application gateway, when you have hosted a particular application, how fast your application can help you to process that particular application request. For example, you have a Facebook, a kind of a website, and you want to have that performance accelerated as much as possible because of the dynamics of the user base. Okay, at that particular moment for the single region, you can use a Azure Front Door and a application gateway. When we are creating a gateway, we will do a deep down how performance acceleration will be a more advantageous to divert this particular or load this particular traffic. Okay, so your traffic is HTTPS and it has been exposed to the internet on the single region with the performance acceleration. We can use the Azure Front Door and application gateway. Okay, next your traffic is HTTP or HTTPS and it has been exposed to the internet and it works on multiple region and your backend is IaaS VMs, then you can go ahead with Azure Front Door as a backend of that Azure Front Door as a load balancer to balance your load. And your traffic is HTTPS and it is exposed to the internet with the multi-region as a backend as AKS. You can configure the Azure Front Door with Application Gateway Ingress Controller. Ingress Controller will again configure this specific AKS, and then we'll see how to use this particular configuration here. Okay, so the multi-region with AKS, we should be going with Azure Front Door and Application Gateway Ingress Controller. Then the next scenario is your traffic is HTTPS and your application is exposed to the internet with the multi-region, and the backend is hosted with PaaS or IaaS or AKS with the app servicer function. Then you can use just the front door. And the last scenario would be your traffic is HTTP or HTTPS and it is exposed to the internet and it is being utilized on multi-region and it requires a SSL offload or application layer processing per request. What do you mean by SSL offload? Basically, it removes the encryption of the traffic which is incoming and it sends this simple traffic to your backend. Okay, or it will inspect your particular application layer processing for each request and it will serve that particular traffic. So with that particular kind of a configuration, we can go ahead and create a Azure Front Door and Gateway. So these are all the details that very important to know about and to configure. Also, if you are new to any of the environment, you see an Azure Front Door and then you see the Azure Front Door configuration also, whether it is backed up with the Application Gateway or a Azure Load Balancer, you have to understand why it is being configured like that. So these are all the reasons why the combination of either Traffic Manager or Load Balancer or Application Gateway it is in place with the Azure Front Door and the different combinations which we have spoken about. So this is all about understanding what kind of a load balancers we need to configure it in which situation. So in the next session, we'll create a load balancer and we'll configure the backend pools for that. And we'll do more hands-on over the load balancers of different types of Azure load balancing techniques. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe and like this video and keep watching for contents like this in the future.